Resident Evil 8 is a game I've heavily adored for years. Coming out some time ago, I played it for the first time after watching one of my favorite YouTubers play the game. And it just, back then I was never really good at playing games on my own. But that didn't stop me from enjoying the experience that was Resident Evil 8. Being my top 5 Resident Evils ever, and one of my favorite games of all time, introduced so many cool things and ideas that I think, all put together made a really great Resident Evil game. Starting with the story, we're introduced to Ethan's new life. With a newborn baby, Ethan and Mia have finally moved on, or so that's what it looks like. Apparently Ethan has been in trouble for a while, and it's kind of understandable. Even though it's just 3 years ago, that's not really a lot of time to recover from something traumatic like that. After exploring the house and eventually putting our newborn baby to bed, Ethan sits down for some dinner with his wife, and a very familiar face shows up. One of the craziest moments in Resident Evil, probably, we already know what happens there. After being kidnapped by Kristen's men, they put Ethan and Mia in the back of a truck that has been attacked and left Ethan stranded in the woods. Starting off, it's a very great introduction to the story. I really, really love it, especially the part where you just walk through the woods. A little annoying on repeat playthroughs, but at this point in the game, it really does create a new atmosphere and just really immerses you into the game. It keeps some of the horror stuff that Resident Evil 7 had, and I think that's just a little cool touch, to sort of start off the game. After finally making your way through the woods, you make your way to a top of a hill where you get to see over the village, which again is one of the best parts of Resident Evil history. That's just my opinion, but one of the greatest introductions to a Resident Evil game ever. You get to just see the beautiful view. It's really just iconic and amazing in my opinion. Really well done, and you really could see just the style they're going for with this game. Wow. Fortunately, it doesn't last for long, but I digress. Exploring the village, you can see immediately that, there's kind of culture going on here. This is one of my favorite parts about Resident Evil 8, as well as 4, is how they take place, in a completely foreign country and with different cultures and backgrounds. I always thought that was just so interesting when Resident Evil did that. This isn't your average American city. It's a whole village. It's packed with different traditions and food and pictures and just houses, that are just all culturally different. And that's just something I really appreciated with this game, and it somehow fits perfectly, and it makes it stand out as its own thing. I just really love Resident Evil 8's aesthetic with Romania, I believe, and their culture, and I just think it's just super cool. I'm not going to go super in depth into the story, which it can pretty much be summed up to, a long time ago, this woman lost her daughter. She stumbled into a cave, found a very, very overpowered ability, the Megamycete or the Megamycete, whatever you call it. She gained superpowers, which made her who she was in the story, Mother Miranda. And years and years and years and years and years, she's tried to recreate her daughter or bring back her daughter in some kind of way, using different people as vessels, which aka the 4 main lords of this village. They were all just test subjects, just to recreate the perfect daughter. And obviously, it's our job to put her down at the end of the story. That's basically the story in a nutshell, if I could put it any simpler than that. With that being in mind, I'm really just going to talk about, the things I really like about this game and just different parts of it. I'm going to keep it short. I know with Resident Evil 7, I kind of changed it up and really went into deep detail with every part of the game. This time, I'm just going to talk. And that's really what I came here to do. Aesthetics and story aside, I will say, gameplay wise, the game feels really smooth. It really does feel like a huge improvement from Resident Evil 7. Yeah, the combat is really amazing. I think it's just fun. We're introduced to a new enemy, speaking of, the Lycans. First of all, the Lycans are one of the greatest enemies in Resident Evil, in my opinion. These werewolf guys are just so dang cool. Like, really, werewolves. Like, in Resident Evil, that's just so cool, in my opinion. But because they're wolves, that means that in a group setting, they can become more dangerous than any other zombie or any other type of bioweapon you can think of in a group. These guys are fast, smart, dangerous. They can use weapons. It's really cool, and there's so many different variations of them too. Which, speaking of enemies, I might as well, speaking of enemies, the enemies in this game is a way better improvement from Resident Evil 7. Actually adding variety, some enemies only being in certain places of the game, which I'll get to later. Once you sort of make your way through the first or the intro section of the village, you finally make your way to my personal favorite part of the game, the castle. Now, I'm just going to put it simply, I absolutely love the castle for every single little thing that it is. But there's also some things with the castle that I just really wish that Capcom sort of just did with it and did more with it, because if I'm being honest, it kind of feels a little too short. You know, this is one of this game's sort of survival horror parts of the game, which, you know, this game already blends different elements to it, which I think they did pretty well. But, you know, this is a survival horror part of the game specifically, and I just feel like they could have just done so much more and fleshed it out. Man, I would have loved to have seen a few extra rooms. Anyway, in this castle, we're introduced to Lady Dimitrescu's daughters, which again are some of the most coolest enemies, or just characters in general ever. They're very likable and interesting and just so cool, as well as Lady D herself. Once you finally get through the intro section of the castle, you're finally able to explore, really just check out and appreciate the beauty. I mean, this is literally one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in a video game, and that's just, I've got a whole bunch to say about this castle. Really, they nailed it perfectly, and I can't even come up with words to just describe just how amazing it is. With all the paintings, the chandeliers, the decorations, it's just amazing. Something that I really want to touch on with this castle is sort of the level design. I know a lot of people sort of have problems with the level design, but I'm here to defend it to a degree. I will say it's not the most complex level design ever. I mean, this isn't the mansion we're talking about. But if you really think about it, I don't think it's really that bad. You know, it keeps a lot of the well-known elements of survival horror in Resident Evil, in my opinion. You know, you got certain doors you can't go through, you know, keys and everything. But I think a lot of people thought it was just too simple, you know, sort of mind-numbing, and I guess I can't blame them for that. But at the same time, I feel like there's just a little bit of level design here that I think is just well done. It's simple, but it gets the job done to where it really does feel like you're actually progressing through the castle in a Resident Evil way. And I just think they did that part pretty well. As I mentioned earlier, I feel like the castle just could have been way bigger. I really wish they would have added more rooms. Like, one of the biggest sort of mysteries that I kind of wonder what that room could have been is in the courtyard, where you go into the courtyard and you see those big double doors right beside the room where Lady D's room is. Yeah, they sort of just added these weird big double doors here, and they just didn't do nothing with it. Like, you can't tell me that they couldn't have added like an extra expansion to the castle right there. Like, that's literally the perfect opportunity. Like, what if at those big double doors they could have had like a lock that required multiple items, to fit the puzzle to open the door? Like, we've seen this multiple times in different RE games already, but it would have been cool if they had added it here and sort of made it where once we, everything we did up until this point was sort of like, the first part of the castle. And then once we unlock those double doors, we could finally explore into something completely different and just experience so many cool things within the castle. However, what I will defend the castle on with this part is that when you really think about it, the castle was never meant to be long. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but if you think about it, with the way the story is, the castle was never meant to get the most shine. Every part had a big role in the game, and they really wanted to make sure that you got to experience every part equally. And I guess I could respect that, but it's just, as a survival horror fan and many other survival horror fans, we wish we could have explored this beauty a bit more. It's unfortunate. Moving on, we move on to the next part of the game, Bienvenido. Nothing much to say here in my opinion, other than it's very beautiful. The vibe is just sort of amazing with the whole creepy dolls and the fog, the gray, like the grittiness and the creepiness of it. I think it's something that is very fitting for what they were trying to go for, and they did it perfectly. Yeah, again, nothing much to say. Not really fun part to replay, but in first playthrough, super duper scary. It has that RE7 horror vibe to it. We all know what it is. And the baby, just a masterclass in just surprise and absolute terror. Really, 10 out of 10 part of the game. Just not fun to replay. But other than that, I appreciate that. Making your way over to Donna Moreau, which is sort of the part of the game that is like your, like, whatever you want to call that one part from Mario 4 with the water and the big fish, that part, very early in the game. This part, kind of the same thing, nothing much really going on here. I mean, not that it's bad, I think it's pretty cool, it does the job. I mean, I don't know what else to say about this part. It does have a pretty interesting boss fight, and which can be a pretty annoying boss fight, especially on harder difficulties. He's super duper tanky, but overall just a fun boss fight to try and get past, and yeah, pretty cool. Next part of the game after Don Moreau is, in my opinion, one of, if not my favorite parts of the game. It's the part of the game where the game sort of lets you explore. Let me explain. Once you get the crank that you use to sort of move around that area, you can use on different areas within the village. One of them is for getting one of the balls for the puzzle. You can get some treasure there, and the Magnum, the Wolfsbane Magnum. Pretty cool weapon, well designed. Obviously for killing those big wolves, pretty cool stuff right there. And then you can also use the crank to get more treasure. To complete one of the items that you can find using the crank, the well wheel thing, whatever, which is another cool item that you can use to hunt treasure, which again, I appreciate that they added that, making you go back to certain areas within the village to collect items. I think that's cool. I love that. I love that they did that. But where I really love this part is when you can use the crank to hop on a boat to get some treasure there. First of all, I absolutely love doing that. It's just such a peaceful part of the game, and it feels like a mental break from everything you've just been through. So just take your time and just collect some treasure, probably learn some lore, just do all that stuff. Fortunately, it doesn't last for long though. After that, you will head towards the Stronghold. The Stronghold is a pretty cool part of the game. Very fun to replay, very chaotic. Nothing much to say, just a very fun part where you can tell the game started to go rampage. It's a pretty fun part of the game where you can tell that the action is really starting to grow in the game. which is to be expected. I mean, this happens in every Resident Evil game. After collecting the final flask, which again, if you knew the story, I mean, you already know what this means, but I won't go into all that. I'm just really here to talk about what I love about the game. You make your way to what I believe is actually the best part of the game. You know, it's kind of weird to say that considering that the castle is my favorite part of the game, but I think that just in general, the factory is actually the best part of the game. I'm going to defend this part because I know a lot of people don't like it. It might be boring, confusing to sort of work your way out, which again, I understand. I can relate. I was the same way at once, but once you really replay the game and just appreciate everything that's there, I'm almost convinced that you cannot deny that it's the best part of the game. Even if you don't like it, you have to at least admit that's the least best designed in terms of layout and level design. I mean, look, you literally have an elevator where you can backtrack, go to, you know, all the different levels, and it just feels so big and grand, and I just sort of love that. So many new enemies that's introduced here, like these big weird dudes with the soldat dudes. I forgot that's what they're called. Pretty annoying and tanky enemies, but at this point you're already well powered up, so you're kind of ready to face them. You know, it's pretty cool. Again, exploring through the factory is sort of a chill experience in my opinion, which I guess that's why a lot of people find it boring. It's pretty chill, but I think it's not really about the fact that nothing much happens. It's just sort of the atmosphere and what is going on. You know, you have this weird factory where these weird dudes are being produced all over the place, and you can hear all the sounds of the machines and all the soldat soldiers going on. You know, I think it's just more about the atmosphere than what you're doing in the factory, if that makes sense. Now, when I play, I'm just hearing all these different sounds that sort of just immerse you into what's going on here. And it's very beautiful in my opinion. You know, it's a beautiful factory. And of course, I love factories and whatnot, so, you know, some bias there. Overall, definitely the best design. I mean, no question. I'm not even going to try and argue. I can't even have favoritism towards the castle. The factory is just 10 times better, and that's just, you know, that's just me. But anyway, I love the factory. It's pretty good on repeat playthroughs. I never had any problems replaying this part, so cool. After fighting Heisenberg, which I'm gonna get to the bosses of this game in a minute, something bad happens to Ethan, and then we're playing as Chris Redfield. Chris Redfield's part is actually very fun. It's sort of where the game sort of reaches its climax at this point. You're just killing wolves left and right. It's just super intense, and it's just something I will say about this part of the game that I find kind of interesting is that Chris's section really makes the game and the story feel way bigger than it actually felt when you were playing as Ethan. Like the whole time the game just sort of just felt chill, you know, it felt secluded. It felt like everything was just happening at a time. It didn't feel so big and grand, but it just felt like this happened over here, this happened over there. And then when you get to Chris, it's like, whoa, it's like everything's crazy and intense like a movie. It's like it really just goes from 0 to 100 from Ethan to Chris. Overall, very fun section. A sort of okay boss fight. It's kind of just annoying and repetitive, but good, just me. After like 5 revelations in this one room that you go in as Chris, we finally get to play as Ethan again, where we finally put Mother Miranda to the ground. First of all, I just want to say, speaking of the enemies, Lady Dimitrescu's boss fight is like cool. It's cool in repeat playthroughs, and it's not really that crazy, but it's kind of memorable. It's a very memorable part of the game for me, which is, you know, of course, the old castle, but it's just super duper familiar and nostalgic, and I just feel so familiar with it. You know, it's a part of the game that really signifies the end of the castle. Like, and of course that's like the point, but like it just really does hit home like, hey, the castle is about to end. Your favorite part is about to be over, and you won't be able to see this until you restart the game. So just sort of like a final goodbye every single time. It kind of hurts a little bit, but pretty cool boss fight. The Donna Beneviento boss fight is obviously nothing crazy. You just play hide and seek and it's whatever. Again, Moreau's boss fight is kind of annoying sometimes, but he's not half bad. I mean, pretty cool. And the Heisenberg boss fight is just super duper cool too. Just fighting this kind of way, it's super cool. It's super different, and very fun. But none of those boss fights even come close to the boss fight that Mother Miranda is. First of all, it's super cool how she does different phases, and I don't know, she's like the most unique boss fight ever. I'm not really familiar with Resident Evil bosses, but I feel like every Resident Evil boss is just run, shoot, dodge, run, and shoot. But with her, you actually have to learn different movement patterns. She changes between different phases, and it's just a really cool boss fight. And for some reason, okay, I'm gonna say something that's a little weird, and I don't think anybody will be able to relate to this, but like, why is the end of the game the one part I forget even exists in this game? For example, every time I replay this game, I will replay this entire game, then get to the final boss fight and think like, wow, I kind of forgot this part of the game even existed. It just feels so weird to be at this part of the game, coming so far after everything. I don't know, just how I feel about this boss fight. I always forget that it exists until I get there. After finally defeating Mother Miranda and having a very not so sweet ending. After defeating Mother Miranda and not having a so sweet ending until we get to Rose when she's all grown up, of course. We finally make our way to the end of the father's story. Again, the whole point of me doing this wasn't to go super in depth with the story like I did with Resident Evil 7, and I do apologize. And again, I more so wanted to just talk about my love for the game and my experiences. I've replayed this game over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Like, just repeatedly just spammed playing this game because I love it so much. It's fun to replay, and I just become so familiar with it to the point where it's like, it's become one of those kinds of things that you really just like. It's like getting to know a friend, I guess, kind of in a way. You just become so close, and you become familiar with every little thing in the game. We all have that one game that we all just like, you just know it the best. And I think Resident Evil 8 is one of those games where every single detail, every single little cutscene, every single thing about this game, I know, and it is very close with me. Do I think it's the greatest Resident Evil game ever? Well, it's in my top 5 probably. Oh, not even probably, definitely. But I don't think it's better than like Resident Evil 1 remake, Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil 4 remake. But don't get me wrong, I hold Resident Evil 8 very, very, very close to my heart. But if I'm being honest, I don't think it really beats some of those games. I think they have a slight edge over Resident Evil 8. Overall, this is my retrospective review. Not so much retrospective, more so just I guess a gap session, if you want to call it. I haven't done one of these in a while, so I am a bit rusty, which is why this isn't so professional sounding. It's a bit messy, probably stuttering everywhere. But again, I haven't done this in a while, and I just really need to get this out. And pretty soon I will be doing this for Resident Evil 9 too, so I will definitely be working on that pretty soon. Anyway, it's Nathan Wolf here. Peace out.